Mark Zwinkels, Director of the World Horti Center in the Netherlands. Welcome to the evokeAG studio.
I'm very honoured to be here.
Now, you've been talking to the delegates here. What would you hope that they might take out of the things that you've been saying?
Well, probably I've experienced a lot of positive energy, people willing to change, to improve stuff, and what I'm just hoping is that they do that in a cooperative way, by collaborating with one another and making sure that you combine the right competences of the different energies that's flowing around here, instead of everybody for themselves. So I would say collaboration and cooperation. I hope they pick that up.
Which seems to be what you in the Netherlands are actually pretty good at doing.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to pat ourselves too much on the shoulder, and you have to take into consideration that we have a history of about 150 years behind us. So it's never just one day away. It takes time, it has taken time, but obviously we're happy with the way we are today.
The Dutch are a powerhouse, though, in international agriculture and horticulture. How do you do that in such a small country?
Well, maybe the reason is that it's such a small country, and that we have so many specialized companies in horticulture, which are individually the best there are in the world. And when you combine specialists, then you get the highest effectivity and production rates that you are looking for. So probably the vicinity of competition also makes you aware that you can innovate together more fast than you would do on your own. And in the end of the day, we're just there to make the pie bigger, and not to make each slice of the pie as necessarily bigger in that respect.
What do you think Australians could learn from the Dutch experience, given what you've just been saying?
Well, I've been talking to a lot of people the last couple of days, and what strikes me perhaps the most, and it comes from Aussie's mouth, so you cannot shoot me for it, is probably the shift from a commodity product into a value-added product. And for what I understand, I can only say that you have everything there is in Australia to work with, and to make that step from commodity to value-added. And now we just have to relocate the energy in order to not do the things that you've already done for decades, but making sure that you work towards value-added production instead of just commodities.
Now, you're director of the World Horti Center in the Netherlands. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know from my own personal experience, it's a remarkable place.
Yeah, so what you can find there, it's like a business-driven campus. Most campuses around the world are driven by university. This campus is driven by the business. So if you look through your... So we have over 100 of the leading companies in horticulture there as a permanent trade fair, where they show all year round the innovations that they have produced. And we've combined that with the agricultural school with 1,200 students. They are there on a daily basis, following 4-year courses. And thirdly, we've added a research facility to that, where we do all kind of practical, pragmatic research on behalf of groups of growers or breeders or suppliers to the chain. And in effect, we try to intertwine students, talents, businesses and researchers to the next level, and making sure that they are very positive about the sector, and that they can contribute in a positive way.
How do you feel that's going?
Well, to be quite honest, we're now open for 11 months. We opened March last year, and we were overwhelmed with the number of visitors that we've got, like 40,000 from more than 50 countries in 10 months' time. So we're kind of overwhelmed, and it varies from governmental institutes to retail to growers from all over the world. So we just got up to speed with them and our organizations to actually be able to grasp what's going on. So apparently there was much more demand for it than we perhaps realized when we constructed it.
There's nothing like it in this country. I don't believe I've seen anything like it elsewhere outside of the Netherlands. Where did the catalyst, the idea for it, come from?
Well, probably it's the same all over the world, that our agriculture or horticulture business is not considered to be sexy. So we all are struggling with getting the right people, getting enough people with talents on every layer of the business that we are doing. And that was the driver at once. So how can we improve our education and combine that more with the business side of things? And we said we can develop all kinds of programs where they should work together, but what if we turn it around and we create a building where they are together on a daily basis? And so that's been the driver at first, connecting businesses with students. And once we got that, we started with research as well. And as long as we had that on the table, research, business and students, let's share it with the world. And then we actually changed the name to World Horti Center. Before that we had a different work title. But when we found out how much interest there was from abroad to see what we had, the showcase, and especially the triple helix thought about behind it, we started with the name World Horti Center.
And it's all brand new. How was it funded?
It's privately funded. So what we've done, we've developed the idea. And once the idea was there, you always get the phase where everybody says, hey, Mark, that's very interesting. Keep me informed. Well, keep me informed doesn't pay the rent. It doesn't pay the interest to the bank. So at one point in time, we really had to make sure that we could go further. And instead of bringing in equity on our own, we made the suggestion to the market, so to the players in the horticulture business, to be able to buy a bond. So instead of equity, we provided a bond loan with a 5% interest rate, and we offered that to the market. And within 2 weeks, it was completely sold out by relevant partners out of the business. So they really put their money where their mouth is. And once we had the equity or the bond in place, then bank financing through Rabobank, our agricultural bank, was quite easy, and then we just flew from there.
It's also a very impressive research facility. The glass houses are all state-of-the-art. Tell us a little bit about what goes on there.
Yeah, so our research facility is about 6,000 square meters, consisting of 40 individual compartments where we do all kind of really practical research. So we try to solve issues of growers which they encounter every single day and they want to resolve. And we do all kinds of research on that end. Biological crop protection, new climate computer systems where you can actually put your output into the computer of how much crop you want or how much harvest you want in which time of year, and the climate computer adjusts the climate in the greenhouse accordingly. So taking over many of the roles that a grower has, all those kinds of testing facilities we provide for third parties. We do the research ourselves, and we provide the assignment with a complete report.
So the benefit of those results, that research, is that just for the Netherlands, or do you have a broader perspective with that?
In fact, it's 90% of the times it's for the one giving the assignment. So, and most of the times are internationally oriented companies. And you have to take into consideration that as we execute all these researches, we also develop a certain mind and a certain knowledge base. And out of this knowledge base, we also do our own testing. So for instance, we're now building an all-climate greenhouse. You can consider that to be a simulator. So it's a greenhouse within a greenhouse where we can test certain crop before shipping it to, let's say, Ecuador, where we are not familiar with the climate and the consequences it could have for the crop. So we can first simulate it on a small scale in our simulator before shipping it in large quantities to Ecuador in this example.
Now, you're really at the leading edge with so many things, but what really excites you in the agri-food area at the moment, globally? What sorts of things really push your buttons?
I think it's personalized food. It has to be personalized food. So we are all individuals, so we also have our individual needs, not only what we like, but also what our individual body needs. And we just had a dinner with the captains of industry based on everybody's DNA, so they have to give away DNA material through a lab. And then based upon that DNA, everybody was provided with the same dinner, but different quantities for meat, vegetables, potatoes, to meet your personal requirements. And point one is that you get exactly what you need. And point two is by getting exactly what you need, you can reduce waste automatically because you know what your body actually needs. So I would definitely put my money on personalized food in that respect.
And how is that done in a very practical sense? When you're putting on a dinner like that, for instance, how do you do it?
Well, we just have a chef cook. We have a laboratory together with the medical university, and we had the captains of industry. So instead of sending out an invitation, we send out a DNA kit. Everybody had to fill out the DNA kit, provide some blood samples and how do you call that? The mouth samples, and the laboratory does his work. Informs the chef cook on the different varieties he has on the dinner plate, and then he serves it. And you have to consider this as an example to plant the seed in everybody's minds that this is the way to go forward. It's not a ready-made product yet. It's not that you can download your DNA tomorrow and you can order on HelloFresh the day after. We're definitely not that far yet, but just the idea behind it, that you exactly know what your body needs and reduce waste along the way. Yeah, that's something that nobody can be against, I guess.
And what about in 10 years' time, say, where do you see the World Horti Center being at that stage?
Well, that's a tough question after 10 months of operation. Again, we're still learning a lot. I think almost 70% of what's happening now we could anticipate, and 30% is completely new and we are overwhelmed. So first assignment is to get it really on the road, get the show on the road and make it effective, make sure we get innovations going and matching horti professionals from all over the world to get to there. And it's not unthinkable to, let's say, duplicate or having spin-offs of World Horti Centers throughout the world. Like the Silicon Valley has also spin-offs throughout the world. But the most important thing of that would be to keep connected with all those hubs that you envision. Otherwise, you get a lot of knowledge lost along the way. And as long as that would be the case, then we will never do a duplicate of it, because we just simply cannot allow knowledge to fade away, as we have a big challenge to feed, 10 billion people in 2 decades, so 2 decades time. So we definitely cannot lose any of the knowledge.
And there's no reason why what you've done can't be replicated in other countries, is there?
Yes and no. We should always realize that I always consider World Horti Center as being a turbocharger. A turbocharger without an engine simply doesn't work. So first there should be an engine, and that's 150 years of horticulture in the Netherlands. And we've now turbocharged that by having the World Horti Center. It can never work the other way around. So we've had numerous of requests from all over the world saying, we want that as well. But as long as you only put a turbocharger there, it simply doesn't work. So we are very selective of which areas can qualify for a spin-off of World Horti Center in that respect.
Well, all the very best with it. It's a very exciting future. Mark Zwinkels, Director of the World Horti Center from the Netherlands. Thanks for joining us in the evokeAG studio.
Thanks for having me.